I'm Pamela Anderson, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
Hi, this is William Shatner, and I listen to Brian Shapiro.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. Chris Wynn in studio as well. I always say this. I love doing a radio show in Las Vegas because you get to meet some of the best entertainers in the world. We know we had the guys from Human Nature that came in studio a few days ago and started singing for us. We have had magicians in studio before. JD reminded me we had Lance Burton in studio. But this guy has a very interesting label. Not only is he a headliner on the Las Vegas Strip, but he is known as the fastest magician in the world. How many people can say that? I would say my mom is the fastest talker in the world, but not the fastest magician. Hans Klok joining us in studio. Hans, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
Thank you. I'm pretty fine. Yes.
So you show up in studio with this bruise on this shiner. You look like a hockey player, and then you just told me you got injured yesterday doing your show.
Yes, but our show, because it's a show, it's not a solo show. I prefer performing with my Divas of Magic. So yeah, it's very intensive. It's very physical. So we have a lot of injuries, and like now I have a blue eye, but it will be fine.
How does that happen?
Oh, just because it's so fast. What we're doing is so fast. People can check it out on YouTube. So even my colleagues like David Copperfield, he asked me, how do you do that? And it's just a matter of practicing.
So you're telling me David Copperfield, a friend of yours, I would imagine, right? So David Copperfield, one of the best magicians, I'm sure you would imagine, of all time.
Yes.
Yep. And you're telling me that he has a conversation with you, and he says to you, how did you do that trick? That's got to be the biggest compliment in the world, right?
It is. It's amazing. Yeah, it is amazing.
That's crazy.
And so our style is very hard to do and to perform every night. So you have to be in very good condition, and you have to do a very good workout before you go on stage. But it's not always going that well. Not that the audience can mention it, but
so how do you get the label fastest magician in the world? How did that come about?
That's actually what the press did, because when I grew up in the 90s, and started doing TV shows, actually, then I was in my 20s. And I thought, well, magic should be much faster. Most of the illusionists, that when they perform one trick, one illusion, it took like 8 minutes. And we're doing like for example, 15 illusions in 5 minutes. Not that it's always good to do,
right?
But it's a very good selling point. People love that it goes... People today, they don't have the concentration.
No, we all have ADD in studio.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's perfect for attention spans.
Yes, absolutely.
2019. Do you have any tricks, do you have any records in the Guinness Book of World Records for speed in regards to magic?
I don't get what you mean.
The Guinness Book of World Records.
Oh, the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah.
I never did that, no. It started actually that I did it once. I'm from Holland, from Amsterdam. We did it on Dutch television.
Amsterdam, nice
Amsterdam. And then we performed 10 illusions in 5 minutes. And then we start doing 12 illusions in 5 minutes, and 15 and 20. And then everybody picked it up, like the Japanese television, the French television, Italian television.
I like it. I like it. And I've seen your magic, and I can understand why you have that label. You are very fast.
Yes.
So this all bring me back to when you were a kid. So correct me if I'm wrong, but this all starts basically when you're 10 years old, right? You get some sort of gift, a present when you're 10 years old. And is that when a light went on in your head and you said, I think this is what I want to do?
It's actually true, yeah. Because I had a very good childhood, but I was a kind of invisible child.
I didn't. Your childhood was probably better than mine. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. Well, I was lucky with having the right parents with a lot of support, and my brother and everybody else, my family. But I was a shy guy, a little boy. And then by 10, I could do a magic trick. And then suddenly people said, how do you do that? So that was my first success in life. So I thought, well, if I do some good magic, people will see me. Success is also kind of a drug. Then you like to continue that.
Sure.
And then, of course, seeing Siegfried and Roy on Dutch television. This was a show from Las Vegas at the Frontier Hotel. And then I thought, well, that's what I'm going to do in my life.
Wow, and you did it.
And yes, that's actually how it all
incredible.
started.
So, Hans, your career gets rolling in the 90s, of course. You're in a position where magicians, they're performing on some of the biggest stages in the world, right? There's a lot of times where you're in front of just massive crowds. What has been some of the biggest venues that you've performed on? Because you have performed places like the World Cup and others.
Yes.
What's probably the biggest stage that you have performed on?
Actually, that was the FIFA. That was for the World Cup football.
Yeah. Wow.
And it was the voting, which country against
How many
country.
people you think are there?
Well, it was in a TV studio, but it was broadcasted live for more than
so there's
80
millions.
million.
So there's millions of people. Okay, so
so let's
go back to that. You know that 15 million, 10 million, 20 million people are watching. You know that going into it.
Right.
I mean, do you have to wear a diaper before you're going to, because I would, right? I'd be, you're a professional, but how scared? Are you nervous? Are you scared? I can't imagine what's going through your mind.
No, yeah, I was very well prepared. That helps, of course. And of course we were scared. And all it was very also the most famous football players attended it, like Johan Cruyff from Holland and Pele. They were all there. And then they told me, it's gonna rate maybe over 80 million people. Then I just thought about my mother. My mom would watch it too. So that's really true. I focused on her, seeing her sitting in her chair watching the television and
that's
seeing,
probably better to visualize that.
right. Yeah, and it worked. It was a big success.
So here's how crazy that is. 80 million people is more than 1% of the population of the entire world. That means that 1 in every 100 people in the world were watching that.
Most likely, yeah.
I never thought about it like that. Thank you for that.
That is true. Okay, so tell me, how did this come about where you got this residency
Right.
as a headliner on the Las Vegas Strip? Because let's call it for what it is, right?
Yes.
There are a lot of places you perform throughout your career, but Vegas is known for being the entertainment capital of the world.
It is.
So this is a big deal. You've mentioned Siegfried and Roy as being kind of your idols, and they had
Absolutely.
such a wonderful career here in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to be performing on the Strip in the entertainment capital of the world as one of the headliners here?
Well, it means a lot because, as you said, Siegfried and Roy, they had a big success here. Actually, that was the biggest act ever in Las Vegas. Biggest act ever was Siegfried and Roy for 30 years. And so it's the city of magic, you know. And then by the years, people say, yeah, Dubai is going to be the new Las Vegas or Macau. But that never happened.
No.
Yeah.
You know, Vegas is one of a kind. And so I'm very happy to be back because I performed here 10 years ago with Pamela Anderson at the Planet Hollywood.
Yes, I heard about that.
6 months.
What was that like, by the way, doing that show with Pamela Anderson? How did that
She
come
was
about?
amazing. It was great. That was a great
Mrs.
experience.
Baywatch herself.
Yeah.
So how did that show come about, your relationship with her? How did you guys form that?
That's a very long story. We're supposed to do the show with Carmen Electra. And
Carmen Electra,
yes.
wow.
So we start practicing with her, but she has claustrophobia. So
I didn't know that about her.
That's not the best thing when you work with the magician.
So she had two issues,
You learn
claustrophobia.
something new every day, Brian, right? We didn't know
Claustrophobia,
that.
2 issues, Carmen Electra. She had claustrophobia, and she decided to hang out with Dennis Rodman. Those were two of her. Those were
Here you
two
go.
of her issues. No, but that's another big name. Pamela Anderson obviously is an icon, right?
Yes,
So,
she's iconic.
Yeah.
And then, so we had to leave Carmen Electra. And then Pamela, she said right away, yes.
that's a good second option.
Yeah, that was the best thing that could happen.
Right.
So that brought me a lot of publicity. That brought me to the Ellen Show. I did it once with Pamela, the Ellen Show, and then the other 4 times I went by myself there. So it was a big opener. So it helped me to come back also after this 10 years. To be honest, it's 12 years ago, with 2007 when we performed.
You still talk to her?
Yes, yeah. We
guys are still friends?
recently toured in Germany.
Oh,
she
that's
joined my
cool.
show in Germany. She lives now in France. Maybe not anymore because she split
Yeah.
up with that guy, the football player. I don't know.
Right,
But it was a big help for me.
That's
Let's say
cool.
that.
If you're just joining us in studio right now, fastest magician in the world, Hans Klok. He performs at the Xcalibur every day, multiple shows on the weekend. He is dark on Fridays. So, you know, we've talked a little bit about, you know, how you got to where you are now, but why don't you tell me a little bit about the show that you're doing right now? What, for people that have never seen it before,
Okay.
how long is the show? What time does it start? What type of tricks, illusions? I know sleight of hand is a big part of what you do,
Yeah.
but you know, I know there are other performers in the show as well. So give me a kind of a rundown on what this show is like.
It's a show. It's magic in your face because everybody sits so close by the stage. You know, it's small let's say it's a showroom like in the 70s, a 400-seated small showroom. So everybody is close by, which is great. Like you mentioned, it's big arenas, which I also did. But with magic, you have to see it really with your own eyes and not follow it on a video wall or whatever. So everybody is very close by. And it's actually the show's about dreams, that you dream to make it. It's the American dream. And beside that, dreams can be also scary. So
My dreams are very scary. For the women in the dreams, it's very scary.
Okay.
Yes.
well, and then we end up sometimes in a little nightmare.
Very,
But
very
it's
inappropriate.
family entertainment, so
Right.
kids love it too. And I think it's very spectacular because you don't see the Grand Illusion show so often anymore on the Strip. You know, a lot of magicians, but a few of them are doing the Grand Illusions. which I am one of them, and I'm supported by the best assistants in the world. They work for me over 20 years, and it's kind of a sexy show, you know. Magic is also a little bit erotic because, and it's sometimes scary and sometimes it's very funny. And as I said already, it's family entertainment.
And sexy. That's why you're doing the show and I'm not. Let me just be very clear on that.
I can see the difference right there. It's not
yes,
like, hey, this
he
is a
has
radio
a full
show,
head
but
of
it doesn't
hair.
have
He's
to
a
be.
very good-looking man, and I don't have any hair on the top of my head. Okay, so I'll tell you what I want to do. I want you to do a live illusion for us. So while you get ready to do it, I want to give away some tickets. So while you get in the position to do that, fifth caller right now, 257-5396. Right now, if you are a fifth caller, you're going to win a pair of tickets to see Hans Klok performing at Xcalibur, world's fastest magician. Right now, the number to call, fifth caller, 702-257-5396. Again, that number to call, 257-5396. Right now, if you are a fifth caller, you'll win a pair of tickets anytime you want to see Hans Klok performing on the Strip. Okay, Hans.
Something like
So what we're doing right now is Hans is away from the microphone. I cannot believe what I just saw. He just had cards appear in his right hand. I have no idea how he's doing this. I don't see where the cards are coming from, and I am going out of my mind. Guys, help me out here. I cannot believe what I just saw. Hans, how are you doing that? I don't understand.
Let's just practice.
I don't. There's cards just appearing from nowhere. Oh my God. I don't know where these decks of cards are coming from. There's like 6 decks of cards on the ground, and I don't know where they're coming from. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. Chris, help me out here. Describe to me. Oh my God.
It's just a complete exercise of unbelievable speed what we do when we watch musicians. This is what we do, Hans. We try to figure it out, right? We want to make sense of it. Yet those of us, us normal people that aren't musicians, we can't figure it out.
I'll tell you this,
and I think
Chris,
that's part of the mystery of it, right?
I was maybe less than 1 foot away from him.
Yes,
and it looked like the cards were literally coming out of the back of his hand.
I need to explain
out of his palm.
And then he was projectile vomiting cards.
Yes.
Okay. I don't even know. I'm having trouble describing what I just saw. Okay, he stands up in the studio. And by the way, the phone lines are going crazy. We're going to have a winner here. He stands up in the studio. We can see both of his hands. You're like a foot away from him. And there's like 3 or 4 decks of cards that just come out of nowhere that just appear in his hand. Okay, be honest. How many years did it take for you to perfect that?
Oh, that was a few years actually. But what I like about sleight of hand is that you can practicing while you're watching television. For example, you know,
true.
If I practice a grand illusion, then it's always with the whole team. You have a big setup, and the sleight of hand you can do everywhere. You know, if people say do something, then you take a deck of cards and you can do something. That's what I love about sleight of hand. But of course, I'm known as an illusionist, doing very spectacular illusions. But in between of that, I think because when people go to my show, I think they love magic in general. So we also do mentalism, hypnotizing, sleight of hand. So it's everything is in the show. And because you asked about the show, it's also a tribute to the history of magic. Like I do the floating light bulb from Blackstone, from Harry Blackstone. I'm the only magician who's allowed to do it and who knows how it works. Short before he passed away, he gave me the secret, and that's a mystery. The light bulb ends that it floats into the audience. And I do the cardboard box from Moretti that are going in this little box, and the audience can stick swords everywhere where they want. Which I also never understood, and I asked Hans Moretti, this German magician, forever, how does it work? And he always said, it works good, but he never told me the secret.
By the way, congratulations to Shane. He just won a pair of tickets. I said fifth caller. I should have said 50th caller. I should have made them work for it a little bit more. But, okay, so how many years have you been doing this for, since you've been performing?
I'm 50 now, and I started at 10, so I'm 40 years working, and let's say professional. My first professional contract was when I was 17.
Okay, so 2-part question here, Hans. Number 1, what is the worst situation, the worst thing that ever happened to you on stage when you were performing? Well, why don't you answer that one first? A crazy situation that you never want to happen again, something weird that happened on stage.
That was in the 90s. I performed in Berlin, in Germany, and we were advertising with the Hans Klok can let an elephant disappear. So I had an elephant. I was on the road with an elephant. By then, this was still allowed that people were working with exotic animals. And I one night, because the elephant had to work a little bit with us, he had to go with us, you know, but he didn't want to. He just stood on stage and never left. So, and then it's quite obvious that people see here there's something going wrong.
So you're saying you're performing on stage, people behind you are trying to get the elephant to go off stage, and the elephant refuses to move.
Kind of. Let's say I'm not giving the secret away, but the elephant had to work a little bit with us. How you say this in English? Sorry.
Wouldn't move.
So
Yeah, he had to help us a bit.
you had a stubborn elephant.
I had an amazing disappearing elephant because it disappeared in 2 seconds. Except that night.
I kind of compare that to an obese man that is sitting on the couch and his wife tells him to take out the trash and he just refuses to work with her. It's kind of like the same thing. You need the elephant to work with you. Come on, work with me, man. Then you can do whatever you want. Yeah,
right.
I
Well,
understand that.
I
Yes.
thought you were going to reference the president again.
No, I wasn't going to talk about Donald Trump. Why would I ever bring up his name? No, but what is some of the most, I would imagine a lot of famous people you performed in front of, right?
Yeah.
And maybe some people that you've looked up to. Has Siegfried and Roy ever caught your show?
Yes, they came a few weeks to
How
my
cool
show.
is that? People,
Yeah, that's great.
So to me, that's kind of like if Howard Stern was watching me do a radio
Right.
show, you know, because that's someone I looked at. What is that like for you when, you know, your whole life you look up to Siegfried and Roy, who are obviously legends, legends here,
legends,
legends
yes.
all across
Everywhere,
the world.
also
And
in
then
Europe.
they show up to see your show. That's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, they came to see the show a few weeks ago. Actually, after the first week we opened. That's a big honor, actually, you know. And they're always very good to me. They always supported me a lot. Also 12 years ago, you know.
Yep.
And they're amazing people, you know. They're superstars, but they're also very
Absolutely.
kind.
What do you make of that whole situation with what happened to them? It's obviously a tragedy, right? But you don't see a lot of acts today. There are some, don't get me wrong, but you don't see a lot of acts today with these tigers and all these animals. Do you think it's a lot of that has to do with what happened to the Siegfried and Roy show?
Well, I don't know. I think it was really an accident in the Siegfried and Roy show. And Siegfried says that Roy suffered a brain attack at that moment. And an animal can feel it. The animal wants to protect him. But I don't know. I know that Siegfried and Roy were very good for the animals. You know, they had a huge zoo for them. And they were trained so well. And they worked with them for over 40 years. And there were a few magicians who want to copy that, but it's very dangerous to work with these animals.
Sure.
And I think it's good. Like nobody would do it better than Siegfried and Roy.
Sure.
So leave
I
it
believe
for that. And it's also good that the animals have their freedom.
All right, I got to let my co-host ask some questions.
So
here.
Brian brought up, of course, you know that you're performing obviously in the entertainment capital world. But Hans, what do you do when you're downtime? What do you do when you're not doing magic and you're just here in Las Vegas getting a chance to relax a little bit?
Well, I love to see shows. We have a day off on Friday, so we went to see Cher, for example.
Oh wow, legend.
Another legend, you know.
At Caesars, right?
No, she plays now
Where's she now?
MGM Park.
Oh, she's at MGM Park now. I didn't know that. Okay.
And of course, she's amazing, and she's when you're in Vegas, you have to see Cher.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on days off, I like to see shows from other people.
Sure.
Not always the biggest shows. I also like to see sometimes downtown magicians, local magicians. So, but I have a lot of interest in entertainers.
Yeah. Sure.
So there was a series, a 2-part movie series about magic called Now You See Me that came out in the last 5 years. Did you see any of those?
I've seen the second part, yes, and I loved actually the soundtrack. I used it. The music is incredible, and I also like the whole story about it. And there are some more great pictures made about magic, like The Prestige.
Yes.
With David Bowie, for example, which tells the story about in the 20s. Let's now say 100 years ago, the high peak of Houdini. How competitive they were, these magicians. They hated each other. Really.
You've been honest. So somebody that I want to bring up, David Blaine, for example, and you've spoken about him in the past. So here's a guy that does just TV. He's not a performer, right? And I get the sense from the magic community and even from people like myself, I feel like people like you that are performing in front of a live audience are far more talented. All due respect to David Blaine.
Right.
He tells the cameras where to be. Everything is set up in advance. There's no pressure. If he screws it up, they could retake it. It's not live.
Right.
What do you make of a guy like a David Blaine that doesn't perform live almost every day like you?
Well, it saves a lot of time for him, I think.
Right.
But I think he's a great ambassador for magic in general, and he does a lot of this scary stuff, you know. I think, of course, you see it all. You see everything what he shows. You see through the eye of the director, and it's all edited, of course. But beside that, I've seen him doing things live on a magic convention, and he is a great magician. So I see it as a positive thing. Like Chris Angel, he did this Mind Freak, which was huge worldwide, but is also a live performer. You know,
Sure.
he's also on every night here in Vegas. I prefer that more, like that you're doing, because performing for a live audience, it's the best thing you can do, I think.
A performer that is maybe not alive today, or maybe is alive, that you wish you could perform with on stage that you never have before.
Oh, well, one of my biggest heroes is Tina Turner.
Oh,
and
yeah, there
she's
you go.
luckily alive, but I never met her. I worked with Nina Simone, Donna Summer, Madonna in Germany.
Wow,
but
you worked with Madonna.
never Tina Turner.
Did Madonna ever ask you out on a date?
No,
She didn't.
No, she was completely on her protected by bodyguards.
You couldn't get anywhere near her.
Yeah, no. But she existed being the first act in the show because she wanted to leave. So and
That
we
is
were,
so interesting.
And I was right after her.
That's crazy.
It was a show called Vet and Das. It's a program about vets, very famous.
That is so cool.
In Germany.
Well, before we let you go, and by the way, thank you so much for taking some time to be here. It's
thank you.
really glad. Give out a little bit of the information again so people can buy tickets. Obviously, you're at the Xcalibur. You're doing multiple shows on Saturday and Sunday, and single shows. Friday, you're dark, and the show's at Xcalibur. It starts at 7:30. Give out information. Maybe give out your website and social media stuff.
Okay, my website is www.hansklok.com.
That's what I would have guessed.
And all the information is also on the website of the Xcalibur. And I'm very proud of the show. And it's so nice that people sitting so close by, seeing Grand Illusions so close by is sensational. And I'm very happy with it. We have a good crowd, international crowd. People we almost had every night a standing ovation, which is not so common here, you know. And yeah, I'm very proud to be back, and also proud to have all the support from you guys, from the locals, and everybody
Absolutely.
else.
Well, I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to join us. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing your show again sometime soon, Hans. There you go,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Hans.
Hans Klok, everybody. We'll take a quick break. Be back right after this. You're listening to the Vegas Take, 101.5 FM, 720 AM, K-Dawn.
This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Come on, guys!